This is the Content Marketing Podcast, episode number 201, Insights from the 2017 B2C Content Marketing Report. Hello and welcome to the Content Marketing Podcast. This is the show where we help you grow your tribe and your bottom line through insanely good content. I'm your host, Rachel Parker of Resonance Content Marketing, and today is November 17th, 2016. Hello, or as we say in Texas, howdy. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. And it is also my birthday. Yay! Love birthdays. Birthdays rock. Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and now Google Play Music. So if you like what you hear, please feel free to click on over and subscribe. Also want to mention that my new book, The Content Marketing Coach, Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win, is available on Amazon in book and Kindle format. And here's what one Joe Polizzi, founder of the Content Marketing Institute, had to say about it. He says it was a simple yet effective guide to an approach that most businesses get flat out wrong. Do yourself and your business a favor and take a deep dive into this book. You won't regret it. And you can also, you can learn more about the book and download a free chapter at at contentmarketingcoachbook.com. Lots going on today. Remember, November is our Snapchat challenge month. You've heard me talk a lot about Snapchat on this podcast. It is not going away. It is up and coming. It's going to be the next big thing for all of us. So my challenge to myself, and you're welcome to join me, is to go on Snapchat every single day and take an action. Either post something or watch someone else's content or add a new contact, but to engage somehow on Snapchat every single day. So if you would like to join me, please feel free. Okay, in last week's episode, that was a big one. We celebrated episode number 200 of the Content Marketing Podcast with some reflections on podcasting lessons learned after 199 trips behind this microphone. If you happen to miss that episode, feel free to check it out on iTunes or Stitcher or via the RSS feed. Okay, a few weeks ago, we shared some key insights from the Content Marketing Institute's 2017 B2B Content Marketing Study. And this week, we turn our attention to the B2C report to see what consumer brands are up to when it comes to their content marketing. But first, it's time to check in with our news feed for this week's rundown of news you can use. Some news out of Instagram kicking off today's news feed. Did anybody notice there's kind of a war escalating between Instagram and Snapchat? Seems like they're trying to one-up each other and get the advantage. Interesting to see how that plays out. Anyway, Instagram has introduced two new tools to, and quoting here, to help make your story even more fun. And those two new tools are Boomerang and Mentions. What Boomerang does, now Boomerang has been around for a while as a standalone app, but it sounds like it's now being integrated into Instagram. What Boomerang does is it records and stitches together a burst of photos into a mini video that plays forward and backwards. So what it does is it takes, burst of photos, like you can take a photo burst with your phone and it will put those together in almost an animated GIF that can play both forward and backwards. So, pretty cool tool. And also on Instagram, users can tag and mention people in stories just as they can in Instagram captions and comments. Those updates will be available in version 9.7 for iOS and will also be available for Android and Windows phones. Okay, Periscope. Oh, poor Periscope. It's like Twitter had this shiny new thing and they rocked the market until Facebook came along with Facebook Live. And now it's like Periscope is just struggling to stay relevant. So Periscope has introduced 3 new features. The first feature is called Superfans. This is a feature that allows broadcasters to identify and target the top 10 most engaged members of their audience. Pretty cool feature. We also have groups now. Broadcasters can create groups where they can broadcast to and share videos with more granular sets of people. So if you want to talk to, just your clients or just to people you met at a specific conference, you can now do that. And they've also announced updates to Periscope.tv, which is, of course, the website for Periscope that you would get to via a browser instead of the app. It now offers I'm quoting again here, more complete web experience that allows you to log into your account and join as a member of the audience so that you can comment and send hearts in any live video, unquote. So that is the latest from Periscope. Okay, our content hit of the week is a post called Why White Hat SEO is Just Another Name for Beautiful Content Marketing. This is a post by Tyler Tefelsky over at Marketing Insider Group. And, this issue fascinates me because when I'm out and about and I'm at networking events and meeting new people, I tell them what I do. And one of the first questions I get is, oh, do you do SEO? And I say, well, we do SEO in as much as we research keywords and try to create content that is optimized to attract search. But there's a whole side of SEO that is very technical. So, but they asked me the question as if content marketing and SEO are mutually exclusive, as if you do one or the other. And this is what this dichotomy is what Tyler explores in this blog post. He looks at the common ground between the two. They're not necessarily the exact same thing, but they do have a whole lot of common ground. And Tyler goes on to discuss how, number one, how content marketers can infuse more SEO value into what they do. And then on the flip side, how SEOs can bring more creativity and meaning into their content. It's really a very good post, and I recommend you check it out. And I will, of course, provide the link in the blog post for this episode. Okay, that's it for this week's update. If you stumble across something you think might be of interest to your fellow content marketers, please tweet it to me at @RachParker so that we can share. Now it's time for this week's Spotlight segment, Insights from the 2017 B2C Content Marketing Report. By the way, I've got a snoring beagle sitting behind me, so I apologize for any noise that filters through. Okay, every year, the Content Marketing Institute and MarketingProfs get together to conduct an exhaustive study of content marketers, and they have separate studies for B2B and B2C sectors. So a few weeks ago, we talked about the B2B report and looked at some of those insights. So today we're going to look at the B2C report. Actually, the proper name is B2C Content Marketing Benchmarks, Budgets, and Trends, North America. And yes, I believe they also do, I know they do studies for Australia and I believe for Europe as well. So if you are in either of those areas, be sure to look up those geographically specific reports. So today we're talking about the North American B2C report, and I encourage you to download your own complimentary copy. It's out there as a PDF. It's not gated. You don't even have to give your email address. The URL is pretty lengthy, so what I will do is include the link in the blog post for this episode at resonancecontent.com/blog or /podcast. Or you can always Google 2017 B2C Content Marketing Institute report or something like that, and I'm sure it will come up right there at or near the top of your search results. So in the meantime, let me share some key insights from this year's report. So the 2016 report is the fifth report that they have done. It's the fifth year in a row that they have done this B2C research. Excuse me, can't talk today. Must be birthday mouth. But their B2B report is actually older. They've been doing that one for 7 years. So it's interesting that they started on the B2B side and added B2C a little bit later. So this is report number 5. So I'm going to share some insights here from the report. Let me get to the top of my list here. Okay, great. The first question that they ask, and they do this on both sides, does your organization use content marketing? 86% of the B2B brands surveyed, or the B2C marketers surveyed, responded yes. So 86% said yes, we do use content marketing. I believe that their B2B brethren are a little bit ahead of them. I believe that number was 89%, if memory serves. But point to make here is an overwhelming majority of B2C marketers are using content marketing. So this was interesting. They asked, how is content marketing structured within your organization? And they had questions like, is there a centralized content marketing group? Does each brand or product line manage its own content marketing? Is it a little bit of both? 49%, the largest number of respondents, 49%, said their content marketing is managed by a small or one-person marketing or content marketing team that serves the entire organization. And folks, this was really striking because they talked to organizations of all different sizes. So from your mega corporations like your IBM all the way down to smaller businesses. And I'm not sure what the cutoff is. They probably don't talk to one man or one woman shops, but they talk to organizations of all sizes. And almost half of them say we've got a very small or even a one person marketing or content marketing team. And that tells me that there is a small group of people who are completely flooded with work to make this content marketing work. So I hope some of those folks are looking into bringing in some outsourcing resources, because that is a whole big old bucket of work for a small team. Okay. In your organization, is it clear what an effective or successful content marketing program looks like? And only 40% said yes. Only 40% said yes, we have a clear idea of what content marketing success looks like. 33% said no, and 26% were unsure. And, this gets into, it's funny that we're talking about analytics this month, because it gets into analytics and how do you interpret those numbers? How do you know if your content marketing is being successful? And I share the story of my client who fired me after 3 months because she said, I've had this Facebook page for 3 months and it's not got me a lick of business. So it's constant. We have to constantly be looking at, okay, how do we decide, how do we look at these numbers and figure out if what we're doing is working or not? Again, no easy answers to that question. And it's clear that a lot of these B2C brands are continuing to kind of wrestle with it. When the researchers asked how committed are these organizations to content marketing, 42% said they are very committed, and 18% said they are extremely committed to content marketing. So that was encouraging right there. A pretty large chunk of respondents are either very or extremely committed to their content marketing. So very, very good sign from the B2C respondents here. Okay, in terms of success rates, so, it's funny, they asked, are you clear on how you define success? Only 40% said yes, but then they went ahead and said, okay, how would you characterize the success of your content marketing approach? 45% said moderately successful, and 21% said very successful. So, and then only 4% said extremely successful. So, yes, majority believe it is on the whole successful, and just varying degrees of varying degrees of success within that response. And that, again, if you're not sure how solid you are in measuring success, then it only stands to reason that you would be a little bit unsure of characterizing your approach as extremely successful, very successful, or moderately successful. So interesting results there. How does the success of your organization, which we just said is not always very clear, but how would you compare it to 1 year ago? Responses were positive here. 18% said they are much more successful, and 45% said they are somewhat more successful. So very good results on that end. This was interesting. To what factors do you attribute your organization's increase in overall success. 77% said they attribute their success to content creation. Either they are producing higher quality content or they are becoming more efficient at producing, creating, producing, and delivering that content. Next on the list was strategy. 71% said strategy, either developing the strategy or adjusting a strategy, has been their number one factor in their success. So interesting results here. And then on the flip side, they asked, to what factors do you attribute your lack of success, or your, as they put it, your stagnancy? So what factors are holding you back, basically? And again, 49% cited strategy, said we either don't have a strategy, or we don't have a very good or a very robust strategy, or we haven't adjusted it in a couple of years and it's gotten kind of stale. That was the number one factor. And then the number two factor, the eternal problem, not enough time to produce quality content and not enough time devoted to this very important factor. So no surprises there. Speaking of strategy, they asked, does your organization have one? Do you have a content marketing strategy? 40% said yes, they do, and it is documented. 34% said yes, but it is not documented. So, and that's a trend that I'm seeing a lot. A lot of organizations say, yes, we do have a strategy, but it's not written down. And of course, you know, folks, when we don't write things down, then interpretation becomes the law of the land, right? How do people see what they do on a daily basis as supporting that strategy? And when it's not documented, then things can kind of get a little bit fuzzy and maybe stray from what you have in mind as your content marketing strategy. Let's see. How B2C marketers rate the effectiveness of their strategy compared with 1 year ago. 46% said somewhat more effective and 24% said much more effective. So encouraging results on that end. Okay, so looking forward to next year, compared with 2016, they asked if these marketers expect their organization to produce more, the same amount, or less original content. 2017 compared to 2016. 73% said they will produce more content. That is nearly 3/4, folks. They are going to be producing more content. And that to me is just a, for one thing, it's great. I'm happy to see these organizations committed to content. On the other hand, that contributes to what we've talked about many times as content shock. You know, the content universe is getting more content dumped onto it, and some of that is going to be varying degrees of quality. So we are going to be faced with a much more crowded content marketing sphere next year, and we need to think about that and how we're going to deal with that and how we are going to set ourselves apart and stand apart from our competitors as we look to next year. Okay, getting into tactics, they asked these B2C marketers, which content marketing tactics does your organizations use? Does your organization use? The top three, number one was social media content, 85% cited that. Number two was blogs, 75% cited blogs as an important tactic. And third on the list was email newsletters. Email is alive and well, folks, especially as the content web and social media becomes more and more crowded. And I keep stressing this to my clients. A lot of them are saying, oh, email newsletters, they're kind of old school. Nobody reads them anymore, blah, blah, blah. But I will tell you, when a prospect says, yes, you can send me your email newsletter, they are saying basically, virtually, you can come into my house and deliver your content because I trust you that much. And that is really, really powerful. So email newsletters continue to be a force to be reckoned with. Which channels? So those were the tactics. When they asked which channels does your organization use to distribute content, 89% cited email, the same amount as cited Facebook. So instead of lumping social media all together, they looked at individual channels. So email tied with Facebook for number one. Next is Twitter at 73%, LinkedIn at 66%, followed by YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, Google Plus, and print at 31%. That's an interesting outcome because it's funny, as more and more communications move online, print is actually becoming kind of retro cool and special again. So let's not neglect print as we look to our tactics for 2017. Okay, I'm kind of flipping around here. Let's see. This is interesting. Which content marketing goals will your organization focus on over the next 12 months? 74% cited brand awareness, and 71% cited engagement, and only 66% cited lead generation. So that to me says that organizations are kind of getting that whole split the rock approach to content marketing. It's brand awareness, it's engagement, it's it's touch points. It's touch points here and there, and I compare it to water dripping on a rock. If you've got this rock and water is steadily dripping on it day after day, week after week, year after year, eventually that rock is going to split wide open. And that's what brand awareness and engagement does for us. It gets us in front of that target audience, consistently producing quality content on a regular basis, and eventually those prospects will become, or those kind of faceless, not faceless to us, but those people out in our audience will become leads. Those leads will become prospects, and many of those prospects will become customers. So, and we just need to be patient and trust that process. And it looks like these B2C brands are getting that idea. Okay, speaking of our month devoted to analytics, they also asked which metrics does your organization use to determine how well its content marketing is producing results. The number one answer was website traffic, 73% cited that. Social media sharing was next at 66%, and then third on the list was time spent on the website, 53%. So two of those three had to do with the website. So social media is great, but we need to devote time and attention to that website as well. Okay. The budget question. The budget question. Approximately, here's the question they asked. Approximately what percentage of your organization's total marketing budget, not including staff, is spent on content marketing? So not including those salaries that we pay to those content marketing specialists and managers and what have you. I had an interesting 31% were unsure. They did not know what percentage that was. But so the average percentage is 26. So of these B2C brands, these B2C marketers that were surveyed, the average percentage, I can get my terms right here, percentage of total marketing budget spent on content marketing was 26%, just over a quarter. So that tells me that content marketing has come a long way. It's not necessarily being seen as a nice to have anymore. These organizations are willing to devote time and effort to it. And yes, they are willing to devote those marketing dollars to their content marketing initiatives. So let's keep that in mind as we think about our own budgets as we move forward to 2017. And then finally, this is the last slide I'm going to talk about. They asked how these marketers expect their content marketing budgets to change in the next 12 months. So by the end of 2017, 42% expected to increase. That was the plurality response. And then about 39% said it's going to remain the same. Only 2% expect their budget to decrease over the next 12 months. So once again, as we look at our budgets for next year, and I know we are wrapping up those budgets and getting them buttoned up. Maybe look at them one more time and make sure that we are allocating enough funds to content marketing for next year if we're going to remain competitive. So that is my take on this year's B2C Content Marketing Report. Thank you to our friends at the Content Marketing Institute and to MarketingProfs for offering this valuable resource. If you have any questions or want to add to the conversation, I would love to hear from you. And the best way to reach me is through the website, resonancecontent.com, or you can always tweet me at @RachParker. Now it's time for our content marketing tip of the week. For this week's tip, I want to talk a little bit about the B2B versus B2C distinction. Now, the Content Marketing Institute separates the two in its reporting. It does separate surveys and separate reports for B2B and B2C, and that makes sense for what they're trying to accomplish. But my question to you is, are they really that different? And I've heard two perspectives on this. The first thing, and I cannot recall who originally said these, but behind every B, there is a C. So behind every business, there is a consumer. And this comes up a lot when I talk to B2B marketers, because I ask them, okay, who is your ideal client? Who is your target audience? And they can rattle off very specific details about the companies they want to work with. They want to say, oh, okay, it's this many employees in this geographic region. It's publicly traded and they're in this industry and they serve this, and that industry, blah, blah, blah. But when I say, what about the person in that organization? Whom do you want to have? Specifically, whose eyeballs do you want to have on your content? And a lot of them have a problem answering that question because they haven't really thought of it. They'll say, well, the CEO would be great, or maybe the COO, etc. But we need to keep in mind that behind every business there is a consumer, and that means that those consumer content marketing tactics could really enhance what we do. The second quote I hear all the time is that there is no more B2B or B2C. There's only P2P, person-to-person marketing. So whether the check comes from an individual or an organization, we need to keep in mind we are talking to people. And as long as we keep those people in mind and their challenges, their frustrations, their ambitions for the future, their hopes and dreams, we will do well. So my point here is, if you are working with a B2B brand, don't rule out learning from our brethren on the B2C side. And conversely, if you're on B2C, we can learn a lot from the B2B side, because when all is said and done, we are all talking to people. And as with all things content marketing, it all comes to knowing your audience and serving them as well as you can. Okay, campers, that's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. If you like what you've heard today, please feel free to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher or Google Play Music or via our RSS feed. And if you really like what you've heard, please leave us a quick review on iTunes. I would so appreciate it, because that helps amp up our search mojo and helps us get in front of more folks who need this advice. Also, remember that my new book, The Content Marketing Coach, Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win, is available in book and Kindle format on Amazon. To learn more about the book and to snag your copy and to grab a free chapter, visit contentmarketingcoachbook.com. As always, I like to leave you with a quote, and today's comes from Warren Buffett. He once said, quote, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago," unquote. Again, this is Rachel Parker with Resonance Content Marketing. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you again next week. Take care.